Hello my loves, it's Monica and welcome back. Today I'm so excited because I'm going to be doing a little bit of a Q&A. It's been a really long time since I've done one of these and so many of you submitted such fun questions and I'm so excited to answer in this video. A lot of it are like questions that I've been meaning to like talk about anyways, so it's like perfect timing. So yeah, I'm so excited to answer all of these questions. Thank you to everyone who sent them in, and if you're not following me over on Instagram, you should be, because that's where I ask for things like this, and also because my Instagram is a fun time, I like to think. Anyways, without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and dive on into the questions. And the first one is really appropriate because I literally just got back from a very big trip a couple of days ago to Korea, and that question is, which countries are still on your visit list? And honestly, so many, like everywhere in the world basically is on my to visit list. I love traveling and exploring new places and learning about different cultures, and yeah, there's so many places that I really want to go. Korea was like always like the bucket list trip, so I feel like now that I've done that and I did like such a big trip for it, I am just really excited. I feel like almost like not free, but like I don't know, like not that I would feel guilty going other places, but Korea was just always the dream, and so to have achieved the dream, I'm like really excited to just like, you know, now it's like anything, the world's my oyster, quite literally. So I would say that the dream next destination for me is probably Switzerland, which I'm gonna be 100% honest is entirely because of Crash Landing on You, which is just the best show ever created. And I don't know if they like made that show in partnership with the country of Switzerland, but it sold Switzerland to me as a destination. Absolutely. It just looked so beautiful, and I've heard from so many people who have gone to Switzerland that they've just loved it, so that's definitely a place that I would love to visit. I also definitely dream of one day going to Australia and New Zealand. Those are really long plane rides though, so that's one day. And then there's so many places throughout Asia that I really want to travel to. I would love to go to Thailand. That's definitely at the top of my list. So yeah, there's a lot of places in the world that I really want to go to. Next question, how do you handle failure or making mistakes on projects? I don't. That's the genuine answer. I'm really bad at handling failure. Like, it's probably one of my biggest like self-criticisms is like, I am such a perfectionist and I tend to really beat myself up about things, and I'm working on it, but I don't know if I'm the person to give like the best advice on that, because I kind of need advice on that, and like just being nicer to myself when I make a mistake or I do something wrong. It's really easy, I think, to just like beat yourself up continuously, and trying to learn ways to just like be kinder, be more chill. There is this one person on TikTok a while back who would do this thing. It was like exposure therapy for being awkward, where they would go up, or being told no, so they would go up to like random people and ask them some like absurd question, like, can I, like, they would go up to someone who works at a grocery store and be like, can I talk into the like loudspeaker, like overhead microphone thing? And most of the time people would say yes, which was really funny. But it was like basically their psychologist, I guess, or therapist gave them this task, which is like trying to ask for things, even if they're really silly, as a way to like get them used to that. And that's honestly how I've approached a lot of things in my life. Like, for example, when it comes to like confidence in dressing how I want, like that's a huge factor for me, is I just sort of like fake it till I make it. Like, I just dress the way I want and I push myself, like I use like just being exposed to the outside world in whatever sort of weird outfit I've put on, and you do that enough and you kind of desensitize yourself to it. At least that was my experience. So I don't know, I had to figure out how to do that when it comes to perfectionism and like making mistakes, and I wish I had a better answer for this question, but that is my answer. Gotta be authentic, you know. Next question, what's your clothes shopping routine, Pinterest, most used apps, outfit planning, etc.? So I have been pretty strictly on like not really letting myself shop very much at all in 2023. I do like occasionally still like, you know, I like to, you know, get new things or like, you know, cycle out my wardrobe. And a big part of that is because I'm really trying to just figure out my wardrobe. I think I just was getting into this mindset of like, oh my gosh, that's pretty, I need that. And, you know, maybe having a little bit of a like overconsumption issue. And I just kind of didn't want to keep doing that. So I've been really good this year. I really have not been letting myself shop very much. And, you know, I love fashion, but I think for me, what I've been trying to do is just be more thoughtful about like exactly like what I want my like wardrobe and my style choices to be, versus like sort of like hopping on different trends because they're fun or whatever. And trends are fun, like I like trends, but I think sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming. I think for me, when it comes to like a shopping routine or inspiration for like fashion, I personally love Instagram. Like it's still my number one for that. I think the issue that I have is that there's just too much on TikTok. There's too much, there's too many trends, they move too fast, and there's too much of like, I don't know, this like mindset of like having to have the newest thing, or being outdated, or, you know, being not of the time or whatever. I don't know, there's just like this weird mindset on TikTok that I don't love in like the fashion world there. Not a diss to fashion creators on TikTok. I love like fashion TikTok content, but in terms of like where I actually get my fashion inspo, I do try to stick mostly to Instagram because I just kind of feel like it's healthier for me. Also, I like that I can follow people who like have a style that I really like, and I will regularly see their content, whereas TikTok, obviously because it's an algorithm, will just like, you get whatever. And so I think that really does factor into like this whole trend cycle acceleration thing, because you're not seeing the same people over and over again who you like have already decided to follow. And there's good parts of that too, because like obviously you want to like find new people. There's a balance is what I'm trying to get at. And then I also have like trusted people who I follow on YouTube who I think make amazing fashion content, and you know, I follow them, especially like ones who do like trend reports and things, because I do like staying up to date with trends. I just am not 100% in love with the speed at which they seem to happen on like TikTok, for example. And then as far as outfit planning, honestly, usually my outfit planning involves like, what character do I want to be today? And then I kind of go from there. So that's how I plan that kind of stuff. And then there's a couple questions in here about jobs, income, stuff like that. So as a booktuber, how do you make an income? Do you have a day job? Is influencing your main source of income? Do you have a normal job? A lot of questions like that. And I kind of addressed this closer to the beginning of the year in a different video, but I did have a normal job and I lost it. So that was rough. Yeah. And I've been wanting to try and be like freelance again for a little while. So I kind of took it as a sign to do that. So right now I do like social media stuff. That's part of my job. And then I also do freelancing within like marketing, like writing and stuff. So that's what I focus on, and it's going. I really, really like being freelance. I think it works the best for me and the way that I operate as a person. However, you know, I think a lot of people, not everyone, this is such a generalization, but a lot of people who are able to be freelance, who are able to like kind of make the jump early on and like be a full-time creator or whatever, like they do come from money in some capacity. Not everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people. And that, you know, I think that's just because like you have that sort of, you know, safety net, and I don't really have that. I'm very much like independent, and I have to be independent, and it's scary, you know, and especially like coming from like economic insecurity my whole life, like that is something that is definitely at play in my head. Health insurance is really expensive when you're freelance. It's things like that, you know. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I don't know if that's what I'm gonna continue doing. I'll probably always continue doing this because this is fun. I love doing this. Right now it is like partially my job. We'll see if it stays that way. I don't know. But while you're here, if you want to give this video a like, leave a comment. It'd really help me out. Yeah, anyways, I'm kidding, kind of. But yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out what it is I kind of want to even do with my life. I mean, I know what I want to do with my life, which is be a writer. That's the end goal. That's the dream. I am also doing that. So this question I love. It's, is journaling a big part of your life? If yes, what do you usually write about and how do you keep it consistent? So yes, journaling has always been a really big part of my life since I was a little kid. I love journaling. It is one of the best ways that I have of managing my anxiety too. So yeah, I have my Moleskine little red notebook, and I love to, like, I just write in it. I used to do like more of that sort of collage style scrapbook journal, and I came to just realize that while it's really soothing and lovely to do, and I actually do want to get into like just straight collaging, mixing it with journaling just isn't for me. I got way too hung up in like making my journals like aesthetic and also just like chronological and like super cohesive, and like writing in my journal as though I'm writing in like a book or something, or writing a book. And I don't want that. Like, I don't want my journal to have like a narrative, and I don't want my journal to have to be pretty. You know, I want to be okay with scribbles and all that kind of stuff and incoherency and whatever. So that is kind of my style of journaling. Like, I don't set like this whole thing of like, oh, I have to journal like at this time every day. Mostly I usually just have my journal in my bag with me at all times, and I'll be on the train and I'll just like think of something and I'll write it down. Or I'll be reading a book and there's a good quote and I'll write it down. Or I'm having a spiral and I need to just like get it out of my brain and I'll write it all down. And that's basically my journaling process, and that's what is the best process for me. And that is, I think, what you should keep in mind is just like what makes sense in your life. Like, even if it's just like, if you want to get into journaling but you struggle to like write physically, like a notes app journal is still a journal, and no like method of journaling is better than any other method. So I would just say, if you want to get into journaling or you want to be more consistent with journaling, just don't fight against your like natural instincts. Like, do what feels right for you. And also, like, journaling doesn't have to be this thing that you write every single day. It can be something that you write in once a week, once a month, once a quarter even, and just like get down some thoughts or lists. And you don't have to have like a narrative. You're not right. No one's gonna read it. Even you might never read it, but it's just nice to write things down. So anyways, yeah, that's kind of my spiel about my journaling process right now. Ooh, this is a fun one. What's your favorite book to movie adaptation or TV series? Easily for me, it is The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is just, that film has my heart. I love it equally to the book. I think it is sensational, phenomenal, absolutely everything. So that one is my favorite. I will watch that movie endless times and never get sick of it. I'd love to hear from you all what your favorite book to movie or book to TV adaptation is. But yeah, I also got some questions asking about a couple of recent book to like TV adaptations. So the first one, Shadow and Bone. What did I think? I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I loved it. The second season definitely was surprising. Like, they did things I absolutely in a million years never would have guessed, but I thought it was like low-key brilliant. Like, I love the idea of of using an adaptation to explore ideas that like you didn't explore in the original series, that you didn't get to explore, or like other possible timelines. Like, I think that's so fun, especially as someone who like loves the original series so much, and I don't think anything could ever compare to it. So yeah, I really loved that, and I thought I'm so compelled like by their choices and what they're doing, and I really hope they get another season because I desperately do want to see like what they're going to do in these future seasons and like what these characters are going, like I genuinely have no idea what's going to happen in the next season because of the ending of the second season. So I love that. I love when adaptations like stay true to the like heart of a story, but like are also willing to like go outside of the like original material. I feel like that's an unpopular opinion, but there we are. And then the other one is Daisy Jones and the Six. I have a couple questions asking about my thoughts on that. Unfortunately, I have not finished that one yet. I need to. I'm a few episodes in. I really like it so far. I love like music biography type of stuff, or like fictional music movies and shows in general. Like Almost Famous is one of my favorite shows of or films of all time. How to Build a Girl by Caitlin Moran, one of my favorite books of all time. And I will say I didn't love Daisy Jones, like the actual book, but I am liking the show. So yeah, we'll see. Okay, I have quite a few questions asking about this, and it is, what was it like to meet Matty Healy? So let's talk about it, because that's probably the biggest thing that happened to me this entire year so far. So anyways, Matty Healy, if you do not know, is the lead singer of my favorite band in the whole entire world, the 1975. I have 2 tattoos devoted to this band. I have the box tattoo. I don't even know if you can really see it. The box tattoo that's sort of like the official tattoo of the band, that like everyone in the band has and tons of fans have. There's a line in one of the songs, Give Yourself a Try, that goes, she was a kid who had the box tattoo on her arm. Anyways, so had to get it on my arm. And then I also have, I'm not gonna be able to lift my knee up, but above my knee I have La poésie est dans la rue, which means the poetry is in the street, which is, I just love that phrase in general. I think it's beautiful, but it's also a phrase that is very common throughout the 1975's like music videos and songs. It's like sort of a repeated phrase, and I love it. And it's also like maybe my favorite of all of my tattoos, because like personally I've never felt any sort of way about my legs at all. Like I've never been like, oh, I hate them or I love them, but ever since getting that tattoo I like love my legs. So there you go. Anyways, that's not the question. I love this band so much. They mean the world to me. Their music, the lyrics, the sounds that they make just are absolutely everything to me. So recently Matty was in town in New York City because the band was going to be performing on SNL, and he was in town recording or working on the beginnings of their next album with Jack Antonoff. So I knew this. So I knew that he was like in the city, so I was already kind of like on high alert, and I was going into Manhattan to meet up with a couple of friends near my friend's apartment to get coffee. So I was walking towards them. They were literally like across the street, and I was walking towards them, and then coming the other way crossing the street, there's this man in like the Matty Healy costume, which if you're unfamiliar, basically recently he has been wearing pretty often this like white button-up, black tie, black pants, which is a fairly nondescript outfit, I guess. But again, I was on high alert. So I see this man crossing the street, and he's like crossing away from me towards them, and I take a photo of him and I send it to them, and I'm like, haha, Matty Healy jump scare, too bad there's no chance he's gonna watch this, right? Here we go. Too bad he's too short. So sorry to that man. So I send that text, and he's walking towards them. So my friend Cara like clocks him, like sees him, texts immediately back, that's him. And so then I'm like panicking. So I walk towards them, and they're like gathering all of their stuff, and they're like, no, go, you have to go say hi. So they're like trying to gather all their stuff so that they can also come say hi. So I walk up to him, and he is looking for some sort of shop, and I don't even register, to be honest, that it's him yet. Like at this point, I don't think it's him. I think that they're just like being goofy or something. Like, you know, they just didn't really get a good look at his face. This man is clearly not Matty Healy. And then he like kind of turns a little bit, and I see the side, like the side of his face, and I'm like, this is Matty Healy. So it's also so bright. I'm so sorry about this sun. So I walk up to him, and I'm like, excuse me, and he has his AirPods out, and I can like reenact this. So he like takes his AirPods out, immediately turns to me and is like full attention, and I like I'm not prepared for this. So I'm like, you're Matty Healy. I love your music so much. It's meant the world to me for like the past decade. And I'm like trying not to stumble over my words. He could definitely tell that I was nervous. So he immediately opens his arms, pulls me in, and just like squeezes me in like the most like intense hug that any person has ever given me. I simply will never get over that feeling. Anyways, so he like embraces me, hugs me for like a minute, and then lets me go. I've calmed down. I am a normal human being. And then we kind of just get to talking. Like I tell him this funny story. My friends finally arrive. We continue telling funny stories. All of us have been barricaded at his shows. My friend Bella had he literally had posted a photo of her on his Instagram feed. So we just I don't know, we just told a lot of jokes with each other and talked about a lot of stuff and the band and all, it was just amazing. And I can genuinely say that he was the kindest, most genuine, loving stranger that I've ever met, let alone a celebrity. But I struggle to put it into words, because if you've ever met someone who you're a fan of, sometimes I don't want to say that they're bad experiences, but I don't know, it just always feels like there's a bit of a wall there sometimes, and I just felt like there wasn't any sort of wall. It just felt like we were all just people, we were all just humans having this moment together. And he talked with us for a good 15 minutes and was so open with us and warm, and we just were able to make lots of jokes with each other. It genuinely felt like I was hanging out with an old friend. It didn't feel like I was hanging out with this person that I look up to and am in love with, you know, and have this massive parasocial relationship with. It was genuinely one of the best experiences of my life. And the aftermath of that was just so fun. Getting to also share that experience with Bella and Cara, who are just two such amazing, wonderful people and friends who I'm so lucky that I know, literally because of this band. That I think honestly was what made it so incredibly special, to be able to share that experience with them. It was just so cool. And yeah, I don't know, I loved the whole experience. It was so amazing. And thank you for letting me talk about it because yeah, it's my favorite moment, one of my favorite moments in my entire life, and I'll never be over it. Okay, this question is so interesting and I think about this a lot. So this question is books you would review differently if you read them now. And I genuinely think if I read My Year of Rest and Relaxation today, I maybe would give it so I didn't like it. I rated it very, very poorly. And in retrospect, I just think that I here's the thing, I don't want to say that I needed to experience certain things in life, because I had experienced mentalities like that. I had experienced times in my life where I felt like that. Maybe I just needed to grow a little bit more. I don't know. Sometimes when I think about that book in retrospect, I'm just actually, maybe I would really like that. Maybe I would really like it today. I also think having lived through 2020 and lockdown, and a time where life really did feel like we were all on pause for a minute for a lot of us. I think having lived through that, I feel like the book would be even more compelling. But I mean, who knows? Maybe I'd read it and I'd still really dislike it and think it was annoyingly written. Who knows? But that is one book that I am really keen to reread at some point, because I just have this inkling that maybe I would rate it differently. Which, if you aren't familiar with that book, it's basically about this woman who lives in New York City, who is trying to live for an entire year asleep, who's trying to just kind of use drugs and everything to just not have to exist. And I think that idea is such a kind of tantalizing one for being human. I think that there is that sort of everyone has that feeling where they're if I could just switch off, turn a switch and kind of not exist for a little bit and then turn it back on without any repercussions. I mean, everyone's had a moment like that, or moments like that. And I think like a book that explores that idea is really compelling. So I don't know. I'm interested to review or reread that one at some point in the future. What inspires your style? Probably the biggest inspiration for me is like media that I'm consuming. So books, music, film, that is always going to be like the biggest inspiration. Like my favorite films are Clueless, and I love Marie Antoinette, I love Josie and the Pussycats, and I think you can kind of see all of that in my style. And even like the music that I consume, like I feel like right now I'm in this kind of like indie resurgence phase with my music, and so that's also like I kind of see that in my style. Maybe not in what I'm wearing right now, but normally. Like I still love all the princessy stuff, but I like it to have a little bit of an element of like grunginess to it, or like earthiness, because I just really like that sort of juxtaposition, and I just think it makes it more interesting. So that's kind of like where my style currently sits, and also what's like been inspiring me recently. Question: favorite song that lifts your spirits when you are feeling down? Love Me by the 1975. That song, what a bop. It just, every time I play that song, I just want to dance. I want to be happy. Like, it's so good. It's just such incredible vibes. The music video, everything about it is just so good. So that's definitely one of them. Another one is Microcosmos by BTS. That one is like when I want to be like, I want to be uplifted, but I like in a melancholy kind of way. Like I listened to that when I was landing in Korea. Like that was just the next song that came on as my plane was landing, and I like was so happy, but I was also crying, and it was just such a beautiful moment. So that's one. I like BTS in general. Like the Persona album was like such a specific moment in my life that every time I listen to it, it just brings me like so much joy, because like I loved like that moment when that album came out. It was such a good time. Will you share your favorite 1975 songs? I have a whole playlist of my top 12 1975 songs, so I'll link them down below if you want to check them out. I have two playlists. I have one that's like, if you've never listened to them before, a playlist that's like for beginners, and then I also have my like my personal favorites, so I'll link them both in case you want to check them out. I couldn't do a top 10. I couldn't get rid of two songs on it, so it's a top 12, but yeah, I'll link them in case that is of interest. Favorite places in NYC? Bookstores are honestly like my favorite places in the city. So I love McNally Jackson Seaport, probably my favorite bookstore in the city, one of them at least. It's just like definitely my favorite like cozy vibes bookstore, because they have like really comfy couches, and Seaport is just so lovely, especially now that it's like spring, summer. Oh my gosh, Seaport is just everything. So I love that bookstore. I love the parks, like Central Park. Like just having a day with your friends or even by yourself in Central Park is like the best feeling in the whole entire world. And I know that's such a basic answer, but I love it. My favorite area to hang out, I love Turtle Pond, and yeah, it's just definitely one of my absolute favorite things to do in the city is just go to the park and go to the bookstore. What is a fact that would be surprising for someone about you? I've kind of entered my party girl era, which is so random. I don't know. It's like I recently just started going out a lot more, and I think for me it was, I mean, a lot of it is because like, you know, I went to that 1975 show and apparently it was a horrible influence on me. But yeah, I've just been going out a lot more and like staying out really late, and it's been really fun. And I think for me it's just like that kind of stuff is always something, you know what it is? At the beginning of this year, I had this like moment with myself where I was like, I need to stop shutting myself down from things. So, you know, I would always do this thing where, you know, I would see someone doing something and I'd be like, that looks so fun, but I would never do that. And I feel like I've done that so often my whole life. And it's like, but why wouldn't I ever do that? Like, you know, why wouldn't I try that? Why wouldn't I go there? Whatever. And I don't have a good answer for that. Like, unless the answer is like, oh, it's not safe or I'm not comfortable with it. But the answer was rarely ever that. It was just that like, oh, that's something I wouldn't do. it was like this self-fulfilling prophecy, or I was like self-rejecting myself from life. And anyways, at the beginning of the year, I was like, I need to stop doing that. So when I find myself saying that to myself, I need to take a moment and be like, but why? Why not? And I started doing that at the beginning of the year. So probably the first example of that was when I was in London. I went to the 1975 concert at the O2, and I was like, that was amazing. I really wish I could do another one. I could go to a second show, but I wouldn't go to a second show. And I was like, but why? And I was like, you know what? That's right. Why wouldn't I? I'm here. Why not? So I booked to go to 2 more of their shows in Cardiff, and I saw that people like camped for Barricade, and I was like, that looks so cool. That I would love to be Barricade, but I would never do that. And I was like, okay, but why? And again, got myself to do it, and it was literally the best decision one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Like, I have made so many amazing friends because of that one decision that I made, because one day I asked myself, why not? And I did the thing. And because of that, I met all these really cool people. I've become part of this really cool community, and it's been amazing. And so I feel like that was just such an important lesson for me to learn. And I've just been doing that more often with myself. Even like with going out, I would always be someone who was like, I'm a homebody. I like to stay in, I like to read. I don't go out. I don't, I'm not one of, and I don't do that. And again, why not? So I did it, and I was like, I love dancing. I love dancing with my friends. That's so fun. So, and I love New York City at night. It's so magical, and it's so inspiring. It's been so re-inspiring and reinvigorating to me as a writer too, just to like experience all these new types of things in life. I can't even begin to tell you. So yeah, that's been a big impact on me, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. I still consider myself very much a homebody. Like, I go out with my friends a couple times a week, but more often than not, I'm at home and I'm reading or gaming or whatever. But it's really nice to just like remind yourself that no matter what age you are, no matter where you are in life, like, you're still cooking. Like, we are not book characters, we're not set in stone. We don't have to be consistent. Tomorrow you can wake up and be a whole different person if you want. And there's, I mean, obviously we all have commitments and lives and things, but you can make choices that can potentially seemingly very small choices that can potentially radically change your life for the better. And I think that's really cool. So anyways, I guess that would be the random thing that might be surprising for people. And then I think this will be my last question. This person asked, hi, are you working on any writing projects? And yes, I'm working on 2. I have one that I've been working on since last year, and I really like that one. It is a fantasy, and it's like very much inspired by Korea and like my family's history and all this stuff. I really, really like that project. But I do have another project that I've been working on since the beginning of this year that is not so much fantasy, maybe like a little sprinkling of it, but is a little bit more experimental, and I'm also really excited by. And it has a lot of like really exciting ideas in it that I'm just really wanting to explore right now, about art and scenes and friends and all this kind of stuff, and music or whatever. So yeah, I have these 2 projects. Obviously I have to be kind of vague about them, but I am hoping that one day you'll be able to read one of them. But that's what I've been working on. And yeah, this has been really fun. I've loved getting to just like answer so many of your questions. Again, if you would like to be able to ask future questions for videos like this, or I often do like Q&As on my Instagram stories, be sure to follow me over on Instagram. But before I go, I want to end this with a question for you all. So my question for you all is, what are you currently reading, and what is the best book you've read all year so far? Let me know in the comments down below, because obviously I'm always looking for more book inspo. So I hope you'll have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!